I believe very strongly in the power of prayer. When I was a little boy, I used to pray every night for a new bicycle. Then I realized the Lord, in His wisdom, doesn't work that way. So I just stole one and asked Him to forgive me. And I got it. Of course, now I pray a simple prayer every morning. It's an ecumenical prayer. Whether you're Catholic or Jewish or Muslim or Hindu, I think it speaks to the heart of every faith. It goes, Lord, please break the laws of the universe for my convenience.
We should all learn to love each other. Once I was in San Francisco, walking along the Golden Gate Bridge, and I saw this guy on the bridge about to jump. I thought I'd try to stall him, detain him, long enough for me to put the film in. I said, don't jump, and he turns. You've heard of the elephant man. He had the head like the head of a horse. And my heart went out to him. I said, why the long face? He said, all my life people have called me cruel names like Flicka or Trigger, Silver, Chess Piece. I said, well, don't worry about it, Ed. It can't be that bad. He said, oh yeah? How would you like to go through your whole life as a freak? I said, well. He said, well, you're a bad example. But, you know. I said, come on. You're not the only person in this world saddled with a few problems. Don't be mule-headed. Stop horsing around and get down from there, you silly ninny. He said, why go on? In 100 years, the planet will be uninhabitable. In 10 million years, the sun will burn out. In 100 billion years, all matter will disintegrate from the universe. I said, perhaps, but in the meantime, in between time, ain't we got fun? Besides, you're forgetting about God. He said, how do you know there's a God? I said, of course there's a God. Do you think billions of years ago, a bunch of molecules floating around at random without rhyme or reason could someday have had the sense of humor to make you look like that? He said, I used to believe in God. I said, that's good. Were you a Christian or a Jew? He said, a Christian. I said, me too. Protestant or Catholic? He said, Protestant. I said, me too. What franchise? He says, Baptist. I said, me too. Northern Baptist or Southern Baptist? He says, Northern Baptist. I said, me too. Northern Conservative Baptist or Northern Liberal Baptist? He says, Northern Conservative Baptist. I said, me too. Northern Conservative Fundamentalist Baptist or Northern Conservative Reform Baptist? He says, Northern Conservative Fundamentalist Baptist. I said, me too. Northern Conservative Fundamentalist Baptist, Great Lakes region, or Northern Conservative Fundamentalist Baptist, Eastern region? He says, Northern Conservative Fundamentalist Baptist, Great Lakes region. I said, me too. Northern Conservative Fundamentalist Baptist, Great Lakes region, Council of 1879, or Northern Conservative Fundamentalist Baptist, Great Lakes region, Council of 1912. He says, Northern Conservative Fundamentalist Baptist, Great Lakes region, Council of 1912. I said, die, heretic! And I pushed him over. I feel so cleansed.
Thank you, David. Thank all of you. Glad you're in a good mood. I'm in a good mood, too. I had quite a laugh today at the expense of the service station attendant. He was attempting to scrape the bird droppings off my windshield, and I never let on that they were on the inside. Found a wallet today on 47th Street. And I was going to keep it rather than return it, but I thought if I lost $100, how would I feel? I realized that I would want to be taught a lesson. So I kept it. Yeah. I went to confession today, St. Patrick's. Although I'm not Catholic, I go every now and then. I say, "Bless me, Father, for I have sinned." I'm just in here to develop film. And oh, he hates that. Yeah, I'm religious. You could probably tell, huh? Yeah, I used to pray every night when I was a kid for a new bicycle. And then I realized the Lord in His wisdom doesn't work that way, so I just stole one and asked Him to forgive me. I got it. Yeah, I had a nice childhood. Very close relationship with this other kid. I was his imaginary friend. Yeah. I'd be in my backyard minding my own business. The other kids would call me names, like Puke Face or Neo-Calvinist, and I'd run after them. But lucky for them, the chain would snap my neck back, and they would escape. Yeah. Remember, once school was fun. Once we were taking a test and I was copying this other kid's paper. I guess the teacher heard my Xerox machine. And she said, "Emo, am I stupid or were you cheating?" I said, "Oh, yes and no." And she sends me to the principal, and I sit down, and he says, "Emo, emo, emo." I said, "I'm the one in the middle, you drunken bum, And he said, "How'd you like to repeat the 5th grade?" I said, "Well, I don't know if I could do it exactly, but I'll give it a try." And he says, "I could expel you." I said, "You'll have to catch and eat me first, you weirdo." And he says, "Emo, you have to go to the school psychologist." I said, "Why do I have to go to the psychologist?" So he shows me the petition. And I go to this guy. He says, "Emo, what does this ink blot look like to you?" I said, "Well, it's kind of embarrassing." He said, "Emo, everyone sees something silly. What does it look like to you?" I said, "Well, to me, it looks like standard pattern number 3 in the Rorschach series to test obsessive compulsiveness, And he gets kind of depressed. I said, "Okay, it's a butterfly," And he cheers up. He says, "What does this ink blot look like?" I said, "Well, it looks like a horrible, ugly blob of pure evil that sucks the souls of men into a vortex of sin and degradation." He said, "No, the ink blot's over there. That's a photo of my wife you're looking at." So I said, "Was I far off?" He said, "No, that's the tragedy." And he said, "Emo, you've been such a good boy. I want you to have this chocolate Easter bunny on me." I said, "I'll slip off." He said, "Well, try it anyway, Tiger." So I ate the chocolate bunny, and I said, "Wait a second. Was this a test?" He says, "Yeah." I said, "What does it mean?" He said, "Well, had you eaten the ears first, you would have been normal. Had you eaten the feet first, you would have had an inferiority complex. Had you eaten the tail first, you would have had latent homosexual tendencies. Had you eaten the breasts first, you would have had a latent Oedipal complex." I said, "Well, go on. What does it mean when you bite out the eyes and scream, 'Stop staring at me?'" And, and he says, "Well, it shows you have a tendency towards self-destruction." I said, "What do you recommend?" He says, "Go for it, baby." So there you go. Thank you. You folks have been wonderful. You've really cheered me up. I needed cheering up. I loaned a friend of mine $8,000 for plastic surgery, and now I don't know what he looks like. So thank you very much. Bye-bye.
indeed.
Emo. Nice to see you. Very, very funny, very unusual, very different. Nice to have you here. What does the name Emo mean? Can I ask you that?
It's my Christian name
Yeah.
and my Buddhist name. No, it's my name. I'm sorry.
No, you don't need to apologize. Well, I think you're probably the first one we've had on named Emo.
No.
Nice to see you. Yeah. No, we have.
When this country plays Iran, you'll be able to. It's a pleasure to be indoors. Thank you.
How do you like being in New York? Have you been here much?
Oh, yes,
Yeah?
I like it. I was at the library, though. The guy's very rude.
No.
Yeah, I said I like a card. He says, yeah, you have to prove you're a citizen of New York. So I stabbed him, and he gave it to me.
Yeah.
I was running through Central Park, and I had an asthmatic attack. These three asthmatics jumped me. I know I should have heard them hiding.
We'll be right back, folks. Emo Phillips. Emo, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you,
You'll
David.
be in Richmond. Thank you, and come back and see us, sir.
I am so excited to be here. I didn't know what to wear. And my mom said, why don't you wear your grandfather's nice tuxedo? So I grabbed a shovel. I think I deserve it. I've been doing this quite a while, and last week I received the ultimate accolade possible for one in my profession. A man at one of my shows peed in his pants. Yeah. A lot of comics won't even work a nursing home. Oh, let's get down. My dog drinks from the toilet. Does anybody here have a dog that drinks from the toilet? No? Believe me, it tickles when you're reading the paper. Oh, I like animals, but you can keep your squirrels. The other day, I'm trying to kill a squirrel in the backyard because he has rabies, I'm pretty certain. And I'm chasing him all over the backyard. And just as I'm about to get him, he goes up a tree. Great. So now the car is totaled. Luckily, I have another car. I have a bumper sticker on the back of my car. Honk if you're rich. And if someone behind me honks, I'll slam on the brakes. You gotta use your head. I'm walking into the bank. And this man says, can you spare some change? I said, get a job. He said, I have Alzheimer's disease. And I felt bad. I said, okay, remind me on the way out. The worst thing I ever did as a kid, once in a supermarket, I put a 3-pound chunk of hamburger into my shirt. Never shoplift in a fishnet shirt. I'm walking out, the manager reaches into the shirt, pulls out the hamburger. I said, ooh, aren't they ugly when they're premature? You know? And the guy calls my dad, who's already angry at me for switching his suppositories with raspberry fizzies. I thought it was funny too, you know. My dad's no saint. Once my cat gave birth to kittens, and my dad took me and the kittens to the lake, and we drowned them. And I was crying my eyes out because I couldn't get them to skip. I love animals. Don't wear fur. Did you know that a single fur coat takes 14 trees just for the protest signs? And don't patronize circuses that are cruel to animals. How would you like to be an elephant and be forced to wear a gold diaper and run around a ring while some woman in a spangly swimsuit with her thighs around your neck is beating you with the... Well, that's a bad example, but you know what I mean. Come on, you... I tell you, it's been so nice being back here in the land of the maple leaf. When I was a little boy in the fall, my dad would spend all day raking the leaves into a big pile. And I'd come out of nowhere. And I'd jump into the pile and I'd go, ooh, 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 and he'd pull me out, brush the flames off. Memories. Thank you for being my friend. I love animals, you know. Don't wear furs. Don't wear furs. Did you know that a fur coat takes 14 trees just for the protest signs? I love animals. Now, when I was a kid, I had a dog. And he was a nice dog, but he smelled horrible. You know, no matter how often I bathed him, he had this weird odor. So finally, I'd take him to the veterinarian. And right away, the vet says, well, he's dead. Well, the point is, I thought I'll freeze him until someday science can bring him back to life. So I put him in foil, and I stuck him in the refrigerator next to the ice cream. In retrospect, I should have marked it. I know, because around 2 a.m., my dad bursts into my room and starts hitting me over the head with the dog. He said, this dog is frigid. I said, well, don't blame me if you couldn't score with it, you know. And he says, you bury that dog by the time I come home from work tomorrow or else. So the next morning, I'm digging a hole for the dog. And I get a phone call, so I throw the dog down. And the man on the phone says, what radio station do you listen to? I said, Country Music 101 FM, jackpot's gonna make me rich. He says, well, this is your neighbor. Turn it down, you moron.
hangs up the phone. So I go back to the dog. Now, I'd thrown the dog on the end of the shovel handle. And when I came back, I accidentally stepped on the blade of the shovel, which catapults, or I guess you would say dogapults, the dog over the fence into the street just as a guy in a Mercedes comes and knocks him 50 feet. And I come out, the guy said, I swear I didn't see him. And he gives me $10 and drives off. At that moment, an entrepreneur was born. I made $80 that day, you know, until the same guy hit him again on the way home. Thinking quickly, I said, well, there go the twins. And he said, I want my $10 back or I'll call the cops. I thought that's all I need to refund their 10 as well, you know. And he said, I want to see your parents. I said, I'll need a bigger shovel. Well, I turn around, and there's my dad, and he buries me in the hole to the waist. But I was just laughing that night, because people would come by and tickle my feet. Well, it's good to have a laugh now and then, and that's why this show is good. Do you like to play pranks, Susie?
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you a good prank. You could all play this. You go to a campsite, okay? And you wait till someone goes into an outhouse. And right before they sit down, you pop your head out of the hole. Scares the heck out of them. Of course, timing is important. That's always true. Thank you for being my friends. It's nice to be indoors. This is an honor. If someone would have told me 10 years ago that I'd be in front of all you folks here at the Montreal Expo, well, I just would have stared at him because I was on medication at that time. This certainly is a politically activist city. Guy gives me a pamphlet today. It says, by the time you have finished reading this, another person will have died from... So I stopped reading right there. I'm not going to kill someone just to finish a sentence. People come up to me concerned that I'll reproduce. And I don't know if I want to have kids, you know. My sister just had a baby, and well, we could have company over and she'll be in front of everyone with her breast out, feeding him cereal or what have you. You've been a lot of fun, but I still have another hour. Want me to do my tribute to Elvis? Thanks, Elvis. I found our cat the other day. I would have found him a week ago, you know, but we have a grass bag on the lawnmower. And he's okay. I love animals. I have a love for animals that's almost illegal. Well,
Let's have a riddle. Do you like riddles? Alrighty. What's the difference between a bowl of chili? Just testing for Zen Buddhists there. I hate those guys. What's the difference between a bowl of chili and a urologist? Give up? One's hot and spicy. The other analyzes urine. Speaking of which, hello, how are you, hot mama? What's your name? Jennifer. Don't worry, I'm not gonna take her away. Don't get territorial, start peeing around her chair legs. I have a girlfriend. You probably think you're superior to her, don't you? Just because you're real. Well, little Miss Tangible. She's very nice. The other day I called her up. I said, hello, is Sherry there? They said, who is it? I said, Emo. They said, oh, well, she's not home. I said, what do you think? I don't have a telescope? The other day, I said to my mom, now my mom's the nicest person in the world. In fact, we were little kids, I was a little kid, and we'd go walking downtown Chicago and we'd see a sleeping wino, and she'd always give me a quarter for the wino, and I'd put it in his mouth and ride him for a few minutes. Just want to say thank you very, very much. It's people like you that are here right now. I mean that. And if there's any hot mamas out there that want some action, quite handy with the ladies. So with this girl the other night, and I don't want to brag, but from the way she was responding to my skillful caresses, you would have sworn that she was conscious. From the tip of her head to the tag on her toes. She was all right. Back in high school, my buddies tried to put the make on anything that moved. And I told them, why limit yourself? I mean, life is too short. So thank you very much, and always remember the last words of my grandfather, who said, a truck. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Wow. I used to be scared of pretty girls. And then one said, Emo, we're scared of you. Women like courtesy on a date. I got in trouble once on a date. I didn't open the car door for her. Instead, I just swam for the surface. I like to play chess with old men in the park. Of course, the tough part about playing chess with old men in the park is finding 32 of them. I I have a line of greeting cards coming out. My first job as a kid, I went door to door selling greeting cards to raise money for my grandmother's hip replacement. You break it, you buy it. If you know anyone getting married, here's a nice one. Now that you're married, here's hoping your naked couplings no longer sadden the Lord. Let's have a birthday card. It's birthday season approaching. You're another year older. Let's hear how you blame that on the Jews. My sister married someone from Germany, which is not the most efficient way to get back at them. But she's doing her part. I'm at a deli with him in New York. He says, "Emo, I can't get a good bagel back in Germany." I said, "Well, whose fault is that?" Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, it's so great to be back in New York City. Yeah, I used to live here. Sometimes I miss it so much. I'll fill my humidifier with urine. I remember when I came here, I was so poor. Once I posed naked for a magazine. Oh, never been back to that newsstand. You can't be too careful in this town. I'm walking into the bank, and this man says, "Can you spare some change?" I said, "Why don't you get a job?" He said, "I have Alzheimer's." And I felt bad. I said, "Okay, remind me on the way out." Gosh, a lot of hot mamas here. I was in a bar last night. There was a very hefty woman. She had a sweatshirt. It said, "Guess." I said, "Thyroid problem." Oh, boy. Well, I came home the other night. My brother's passed out on the couch, holding an empty bottle of sleeping pills. So I called the paramedics, and they pumped his stomach. And I think he's learned his lesson, never to take my last 2 sleeping pills. I love my family. My nephew had a birthday. I thought, what do you give a kid with 7 fingers on one hand? Firecrackers. I was writing out a check to UNICEF. And I thought, why am I giving money to people going hungry overseas when there are people going hungry right in my backyard? So I spent it on fencing. Because it was getting out of hand.
I saw some guy going through my garbage can looking for food. Now darn it. I hate to see another human being going through someone's garbage looking for food. So I made him a real nice raccoon costume. You know. Does he wear it? No. Don't wear fur. Did you know that a single fur coat takes 14 trees just for the protest signs? I love the great outdoors. Last year I was hiking in the Rockies. What do you call those things? Oh, they stick to you. It's hard to get them off. Allegations of sexual molestation. Well, I'd like to end by talking about squirrels. I was trying to kill a squirrel in the backyard because he had rabies. Pretty sure. And I'm chasing him all over the backyard. Just as I'm about to get him, whoop, he goes up a tree. Great. So now the car is totaled. The joke's on him, because I have another car. Thank you. I have a bumper sticker, honk if you're rich. And if someone behind me honks, I'll slam on the brakes. Thank you.
Emo. Very nice stuff. Emo Phillips, everybody, we'll take a break. We'll be right back. All right, everybody. That's our show. You settle down. Stay tuned for Last Call with Carson Daly. And have a good weekend. We'll see you Monday. Bye.
Probably the toughest time in anyone's life is when you have to murder a loved one because they're the devil. Other than that, though, it should be a good month. I'm excited about Halley's Comet, or some pronounce it comet. Oh, still a little bit out of breath. I was running to get here and had a very bad asthmatic attack. These 3 asthmatics jumped me. I know. I know, I should have heard them hiding. I don't mind. I'm not a fatalist. Even if I was, what could I do about it? Nothing. Well, it does my heart good to see so many hot English mamas here. I'm quite handy with the ladies. I'm a great lover, I bet. Yeah. The other night I saw my girlfriend, which always puts a strain on the relationship. I said, will you marry me? She said, well, I have to ask my father. I said, okay, we'll ask your father. So we had a seance. The guy never showed up. The other night she said, Emo, I'm seeing another man. I said, well, try rubbing your eyes or something. Well, the next night I caught her in bed with this other guy. I was crushed. I said, get off me, you two. Live and learn. You folks have been a lot of fun, but I still have another hour. Want me to do my tribute to Elvis? Thanks, Elvis. You guys have really cheered me up. I needed cheering up. I loaned a friend of mine $8,000 for plastic surgery, and now I don't know what he looks like. Well, live and learn. Appearance is important, isn't it? It is. I was walking across Tower Bridge once, and I saw this guy on the bridge about to jump. I thought I'd try to stall him, detain him, long enough for me to put the film in. I said, don't jump, and he turns. You've heard of the Elephant Man. He had the head like the head of a horse. And my heart went out to him. I said, why the long face? He said, all my life, people have called me, cruel names, and nobody loves me. I said, God loves you. He said, how do you know there's a God? I said, of course there's a God. Do you think that billions of years ago, a bunch of molecules floating around at random without rhyme or reason could someday have had the sense of humor to make you look like that?
Say you didn't get your money's worth tonight. One more time for Madonna. What's she talking about? Good, out there. She's fun now. What Madonna is to music, my next guest is to comedy. In other words, he's a complete shock. Please welcome Emo Phillips. Your shoe came off. No, it came off your foot and flew over there. Hi.
Oh.
Uh-huh. What?
Before you say anything, I entered the contest for the Cosmopolitan video.
Wait. You talking about the Vogan video?
Okay.
You have one of those, really?
I'm not kidding you. Kick it, Sandy.
What can a woman like Madonna learn from a man like you?
Well, I am quite the handy one with the ladies.
Really?
I've tried my hand at sex. In fact, once I almost went all the way. Unfortunately, the girl was as skinny as I was, and as soon as we worked up the sweat, I hydroplaned.
Madonna talked about a woman being spanked. Have you ever spanked a woman?
Oh, no. I would not mind Madonna spanking me. But, I haven't been spanked since I was a little kid in school. By the teachers. Once this teacher said, Emo, what's 5/19 plus 4/15? My brain started to bleed. She said, take it easy. What's our common denominator? I said, a fondness for little girls? Oh,
She was by and large. But anyway, she sent me to the principal. You ever get sent to the principal?
Yes.
Oh, I'm walking down that long, lonely hall. I thought, oh, this is horrible. My friend Jimmy went to the principal last week, and he's still not able to sit down. So I'm praying, oh, please don't let him find me attractive. And I Oh, go on.
Okay. You know, I keep looking at your hair
This
because...
is a nice couch.
Well, I like to have a couch that's not distracting to the interview.
I hear you.
Like, no... Anyway, you know...
Sorry.
Every time you hear it, people always ask me, is his hair real?
Yeah, see? Yeah.
It's nice. I like it.
Thank you. No, I cut my own hair. It's a bowl cut. It's easy to flush them down afterwards. Anyway.
I always like to ask you about current events. Any thoughts on the Trump situation?
Well, my advice to Ivana, you make your man coleslaw, and he'll stick with you. You like coleslaw?
Sure.
I'll make you coleslaw that'll melt in your mouth, tickle your throat, soothe your stomach, tickle your throat, and melt in your mouth again. In fact, once I was making coleslaw, and this mouse runs across the countertop and accidentally decapitated him, and I couldn't find the head anywhere.
Oh.
Yeah, that night at a party, this woman's eating the coleslaw, and she reaches into her mouth and pulls out the head of the rodent. Thinking quickly, I said, "We have a winner."
I gotta go to commercial. We'll be right back.
Oh, thank you. Oh, it's great to be indoors. What a beautiful theater here at the Playhouse in London. I tell you, they don't make theaters like this anymore because of the child labor laws. Oh, I can't get over how proper everyone here is in England. I was at the customs at the Heathrow Airport, and the guy says, "What's that toilet paper doing on your cheek?" I said, "Well, I cut myself shaving on the plane, and I, put a little toilet paper on." He says, "Well, most people use a fresh piece." When in Rome, I'll play along. I was in Trafalgar Square today, ripping out nose hairs. Ooh, those sleeping winos hate that. But I need the incentive to jog, which isn't easy here either. This cop says, "Look, young man, if you want to go jogging, do it in a park, not a graveyard." So I'm thinking, obviously, he's not a hurdle man, I ran 3 miles the other day. Finally, I said, "Lady, keep your purse, No, it's not easy. I tried doing that Ironman triathlon. That's where you swim for
6 miles, right. Then you bicycle for 112, then you run for 26.2, you know. So I'm doing the swimming part first. And after 5 minutes, I thought, well, this is stupid, you know. I'm getting the bike all rusty. Now, my sister hates to swim. On my uncle's boat off the coast of Florida, I said to her, you gotta go in the water. It's wonderful. She said, I told you I'm having my period. She takes all the fun out of shark fishing. I mean, just to lure them, you know, I wouldn't want to hurt her. I love to fish. Once I caught a 30-pound sea bass. I was dying to mount it, you know, but people were around. Oh, my brother says hello. So, hooray for speech therapy. I know it. You know, the other day, I was walking down the street for some gum, and I was finding quite a bit, you know. Is there some celebrity in England that looks like me? Because people were shouting at me. Is there someone named Wanker? I think it's a chat show host. I'm not sure. Oh boy, I don't think I'm that famous. Although I've been doing a lot of stuff since I got here. I posed naked for a magazine. Well, the guy gave me some candy as well, you know. Oh, guess what? I am never going to argue sports with anyone in England again. I was at a pub the other night, nursing a beer. Oh, my nipple was quite soggy. And the guy next to me said, I think Ireland has the best team in football. I said, you're nuts. And he punches me. So that's the last time I'll warn someone that his balls are on fire. He was drunk. Now, my nephew had a birthday. And I said, what do you want for your birthday? And he said, I want a Batmobile. Well, unbeknownst to me, one of them was still alive when I hung it over his bed. And I should have known better because I went to see Batman last summer, you know. And I turned around to tell the people behind me to shut up. And it's Jack Nicholson and Michael Keaton. Then I realized that I've been sitting backwards. Do you like crying babies at the movies? I like to sit behind them. You figure they're going to cry anyway, right? So you flick him in the head. Who's going to know? Now, my sister just had a baby, and she loves the little critter. We could have company over, and she'll be in front of everyone with her breast out feeding him cereal or what have you. And the other day I was pushing the baby through the park, and he's crying because I forgot the pram. The other. Oh, yes, I dress for the ladies. I'm a great lover, I bet. Oh, yes, I've tried my hand at sex. I've been having problems with my girlfriend. I know it. She's mad at me because I told her she looked sexy with black fingernails. And now she thinks I purposely slammed the car door on her. Plus, I think she might also be upset because I accidentally threw up on her grandmother. I was leaning over to kiss her grandma goodbye, and I got a whiff of her stale perfume. And I accidentally threw up all over her. Luckily, I was one of the last mourners in line. Could have been a lot worse, if you ask me. People come up to me concerned that I'll reproduce. I think I'd be good with kids. For instance, my nephew is scared of the dark. And I've always thought the best way to teach a kid not to be scared of the dark is to fill his daylight hours with as much horror as possible. So he prays for the darkness that comes. He's a brat. I'm at a picnic with him. He said, Uncle Emo, there's a bug in my eye. Do something, you moron. So I get the insecticide. Changes his mind. You know, I think kids are a lot of fun. And I like animals as well. I have a love for animals that's almost illegal. I had a monkey when I was a kid, cute little monkey. He used to do a cute little dance on his hind legs every time I would hold the leash up high enough. You know, it's nice to be here in England because the economy's going very well. You know, I'm glad for you. I'm from America and the economy's having problems. We have a $200 billion a year budget deficit. And my advice to President Bush, don't worry about it. What's going to happen is Japan going to come over and say, hey, Uncle Sam, we want the money. We'll say we don't have it. They'll say you don't have it. What did you spend the $200 billion on? And we'll say, well, these nuclear warheads. And they'll say, well, we don't need it right away. Our country is making nuclear weapons like there's no... Well, anyway, my problem is I have to learn to discipline myself. I was having this large Dutch woman do it. Sorry I did it now. Looks like Karen Carpenter as the Elephant Man. This reminds me of the time I was on my aunt's farm, and she said, Emo, milk the cows. And I had never done this before. Well, I come back after an hour. I said, the big one with the horns almost killed me. She said, that's the bull. So now I don't feel bad that I only got half a cup. Remember one day she caught me in bed with a chicken. Oh, there was egg on my face. I was in bed the other night, and I heard my parents in the next room arguing about me. You know, parents will argue. saying stuff like, "Oh, I told you he'd live," you know. They're kidders, of course. My mom said when I was born, they threw away the mold. Oh, some of it grew back, you know, but... Remember one day, I'll never forget. I was about 4 years old, and I was playing one day, and I saw the cellar door open, just a crack. Now, my folks had always warned me, Emo, whatever you do, don't go near the cellar door. But I had to see what was on the other side if it killed me. And I went to the cellar door and I pushed it and walked through and I saw strange, wonderful things. Things I had never seen before. Like trees. Grass. The sun, that was nice. Yeah, my folks were very protective of me. I couldn't even cross the street without them getting all excited and placing bets. One night, my dad was tucking me into bed with the staple gun. I said, "Daddy, tell me a story." He said, "Emo, I need my sleep. I have to look for work in the morning." I said, "Come on, tell me a longer one." Now, when I was a little boy, I hated school. 'Cause, you know, a lot of stuff in school, let's face it, you don't appreciate till you get to be older. You know, little things like being spanked every day by a middle-aged woman, you know. Stuff you pay good money for later in life. Once our teacher said, "Emo, what's 5/19ths and 4/15ths?" And my brain started to bleed. She said, "Take it easy. What's our common denominator?" I said, "A fondness for little girls." She was, by and large. But anyway, she sent me to the principal, which is like your headmaster. And I'm walking down the hall. I thought, oh, this is horrible. My friend Jimmy went to the principal last week, and he's still not able to sit down. So I'm praying, oh, please don't let him find me attractive. I sit down. He says, "Emo, Emo, Emo." I said, "I'm the one in the middle, you drunken slob." He said, "I can expel you." I said, "You'll have to catch and eat me first." You know, he's chasing me all over. He said, "Emo, you have to go to the school psychologist." I said, "Why do I have to go to the school psychologist?" So he shows me the petition. I go to the psychologist. He says, "What does this ink blot look like to you?" I said, "It's kind of embarrassing." He said, "Everyone sees something silly. Just tell me what the ink blot looks like to you." I said, "Well, to me, it looks like standard pattern number 3 in the Rorschach series, the test for obsessive compulsiveness, you know, but that's just me." And he gets depressed. I said, "Okay, it's a butterfly then, you know." He says, "What does this ink blot look like?" I said, "It looks like a horrible, ugly blob of pure evil that sucks the souls of men into a vortex of sin and degradation." He said, "No, the ink blot's over there. That's a photo of my wife you're looking at." I said, "Oh, was I far off?" He said, "No." And he gives me a chocolate Easter bunny. And I eat the chocolate bunny, and I think, wait a second, was this a test too? He says, "Yeah." I said, "What does it mean?" He said, "Well, had you eaten the ears first, you'd be ambitious. Had you eaten the feet first, you'd have an inferiority complex. Had you eaten the tail first, you'd have latent homosexual tendencies. And had you eaten the breasts first, you'd have a latent Oedipal complex. I said, well, go on. What does it mean when you bite out the eyes and scream, stop staring at me? He says, it shows you have a tendency towards self-destruction. I said, what do you recommend? He says, go for it. That Friday afternoon, I'm walking home from school, and I'm watching some men building a new house. And the guy hammering on the roof calls me a paranoid little weirdo in Morse code. As soon as the men left for the day, I saw they had just poured wet cement for the basement floor. So I jumped into the wet cement, and then I slipped, and I fell backwards, and I hit the back of my head on a pipe coming out of the floor. When I came to, early the next morning, the pipe held my head above the surface, while the rest of my body below the neck was completely covered by the now hardened cement. I thought, well, this is bad. I know I'm not going to fit into the new family's decorating scheme. Unless, of course, they've chosen a Last Day of Pompeii motif. So I'm lying there hour after hour after hour, and then my friend Jimmy Peterson comes to the window. He said, Emo, are you stuck in that cement? I said, no. Last night I didn't finish my broccoli, and my mom chopped my head off and tossed it here. And he screams and runs away. So the next morning, I'm still lying there, reflecting on how there's a time and a place for sarcasm. And it starts to rain. And after several hours, the basement begins flooding with water. I'm yelling, help, help! Which I wish I would have thought of the day before, you know. And after a while, the water starts seeping into my nostrils. And just as the water starts seeping into my nostrils, my dad jumps into the basement, showing he was a complete stranger to Archimedes' principle of liquid displacement. So I'm trying desperately at this point to evolve a blowhole, but my dad takes out a flashlight, a torch, you know, and he puts the cylinder part into my mouth so I could breathe through it like a snorkel. So now I'm choking on the batteries. But my dad takes out a chisel, and before you could translate the book of Maccabees from Hebrew to Lithuanian, he frees me from the cement. He said, well, Emo, I had you out in no time at all. I said, well, geologically, perhaps, you know. And I guess the circumcision was an extra bonus. He said, now, no pain, no gain. I said, well, no rhymes, no moronic generalizations. And he grabs me by the throat, says, no air intake, no smart comments, Buster. I said, no free hands, no protection to the groin. I don't know if I was put on this earth for a purpose or not. But I'm fairly confident that I'll be taken off of it for one. One night, I was in bed, and you know how you're in bed at night, all alone in the house, and your house starts making noises you don't hear during the daytime. Weird noises, scary noises, like or emo, I'm gonna kill you. I remember that song. Whenever I feel afraid, I whistle a happy tune. And I felt a hand around my neck, and a voice said, thanks, I thought I would never find you in the dark. The light goes on, and there's this guy standing over me with a gun. He says, take advantage of my little sister, will you? I said, sure, where is she? And he shows me this picture of a girl. I said, I don't know her. He said, yes, you do. I said, no, I don't. He says, yes, you do. And he gets nervous, and his hands start shaking, and the picture starts shaking. I said, oh, now I remember her. I said, look, I'll tell you a riddle. And if you answer it, you could kill me. But if you don't answer it, you have to let me go. He said, what's the riddle? I said, what is it that has 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs in the afternoon, and 3 legs at night? He said, the answer is man, who in the morning of his life crawls on 4 legs because he's a baby. And in the afternoon of his life, he walks upright on 2 legs because he's an adult. And in the evening of his life, he's an old man, and his cane makes the 3rd leg. I said, wrong, it's a donkey, who has 4 legs in the morning, and in the afternoon you chop 2 of them off. And in the evening you glue 1 back on again. Ooh, what a dolt, huh? So I got out of that one all right. I recently had the intense pleasure of seeing a wonderful opera called Einstein on the Beach by Philip Glass and Robert Wilson. The problem is Einstein never actually gets to the beach. Maybe that's the point. But I love the beach. I love the sound of the crashing surfers against the rocks. They always have a sign at the beach, no glass bottles. I think that's so the other sand particles don't feel like underachievers. Be that as it may, I have written a modern dance piece called Einstein at the Beach. And with the kind permission of Philip Glass, I would like to do it for you right now. people have really stayed. Get on my clothing. This. Look at this. This reminds me of something. I was at the doctor's office, and the guy across from me in the waiting room said, "What's your problem?" I said, "I have the biggest hemorrhoid you've ever seen." He said, "Is that why you're sitting on that beanbag chair?" I said, "Look again." You know, it's over. You know, I was at a computer shop, and this little computer beats me at chess. But it was no match for me at kickboxing. I want to thank you all very, very much for coming here. And I just want to say in conclusion that if there's any young ladies out there who want some emo action, well, I don't want to blow my own horn. So that's why I'm making this invitation. But I am quite the handy one with the ladies. Oh, yes. I was with this girl the other night, and I don't want to brag, but from the way she was responding to my skillful caresses, you would have sworn that she was conscious. From the tip of her head to the tag on her toes. I just wish I had this sexual charisma back in college. You know, college, you're never satisfied with your appearance. Either you have blemishes or you need braces on your teeth. I myself used to have a vestigial tail, a 15-inch bone sticking out of my spinal column. Every night I prayed to God to please remove the vestigial tail. Either that or turn my head around 180 degrees. And he never did. You're probably surprised that I pray. Oh, I'm a very religious person. Well, if by religious, you mean that I go to church every Sunday. I'm not religious in that strict sense. But if by religious, you mean that I love others and I try to help them whenever I can. Again, no. I was raised Baptist. Once my grandpa said, "Emo, do you believe in the Lord?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Then stand up and shout hallelujah." And wouldn't you know, I fell out of the roller coaster. When I was a kid, I used to pray every night for a new bicycle. Then I realized the Lord doesn't work that way. So I just stole one and asked him to forgive me. And I got it. And let that be a lesson to you. And let me just reiterate that this has been a dream come true for me to be here in London. If someone would have told me 13 years ago that I'd be here on the West End, I just would have stared at him because I was on medication at that time. Do you believe in dreams? Try this one out for size. I'm on a tube train, and it goes into a long, dark tunnel, and it stops. Panic-stricken, I leave the train, start running down this corridor, which turns out to be a sewer. And I'm over my head in filthy, stinking liquid, and I see a light at the end of the tunnel, and I get there, and there's my mother. She said, have some coleslaw, Emo. And I passed out from exhaustion. And here's where I had the dream. In the dream, I'm running through the park, and I have a very bad asthmatic attack. These 3 asthmatics jumped me. I know, I should have heard them hiding. Let that be a lesson. Thank you for being my friends. Bye-bye.